This week's card may just be the blingiest card I've made yet on Simply Ann. Look at all this glitter and glitz. So it's a monochromatic card, all types of greens on here. I'm using a really beautiful paper pack, some dazzles, some holographic papers. Here's a peek at the inside. I got all the bling and glitter on the front and just a touch on the inside. So, if you're intrigued on how I made this card, stay tuned. Today I'll be using the Merry Christmas cutting dies, and these of course look backwards because really they cut like that. And this is a really pretty little font. It's kind of cursive and swirly, so nice and holiday-like. Here's a project idea on the back. And then I'm also going to be using the holographic circles paper in green. It's quite psychedelic. And we'll also be using these swirl Christmas trees, dazzles. So let's see if you can see those shapes. Really pretty, and they even have a greeting on the bottom. As well as the jewel paper pack. Now I'm just going to show you one each of the 6 designs, but you're really going to get 2 each. And they all have really pretty gradients. So like this one starts from dark blue and fades to white. This one's got a really pretty purple. This is kind of the green version of this purple. You can kind of see that. This is a really light olive green, greenish yellow. And another really pretty clover kind of green fading to white. So those are the Gypsy Jewel papers. Alright, so I think I've got everything we want. Let's get started. So here I have my Epic 6 die cut machine. I have my cutting platform. And I also have my flexible cutting mat. So keep this set up, so I will. So I'm going to slide this out here so I can see. Now I've cut a piece of the holographic circles paper to fit the Merry Christmas on. Let me just give you the measurements. It is 5 1/4 inches long by almost 4 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is place this cutting platform. Can you see that? It says cutting platform. It's a little blurry. Anyway, that's just this cutting machine, so yours might be different. I'm going to place the dies. I'm going to turn it like so. That might fit better actually. Alright, so make sure the foam and the blades are facing up. I'm going to take my shiny holographic cardstock, face that down. Then take my cutting mat, and this is the side with all the cuts on it, face that down, and of course let's keep the set up. Okay, so now I have my sandwich, and this is going to get rolled through my Epic 6. Try and get through. You can feel the resistance when it hits the cutting dies. Way. Let's see what we got here. Wow, looking good. So set this aside. This is all falling out nicely. Alright, we have the Merry and the Christmas. Now don't forget the little dot on the eye, that comes separate, so it's a separate little piece that you'll have to glue on. And then all the little innies come out. Okay, so there's my Merry, nice and shiny. Looks fabulous. And my Christmas. Here we go. And the S and the A and the S. There we go. Great, that's just what I'm looking for. And this is nice and sturdy, so it probably won't rip when you try to pull these out. I'm going to cover my card with this pretty green striped paper. My card's going to be sort of monochromatic with different shades of green. So I don't want it to be just plain horizontal stripes. I want it to be diagonal. So what I'm going to do is take a pencil and place my card on here, kind of including all the different colors that I want. And then simply trace around my card. You can guess what comes next. Simply cut out that shape and I will have the perfect size to fit the front of my card. You can pretty much do this with any paper that has some sort of stripe on it. If you want it tilted, just simply tilt your card and trace. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Now that I've got this piece cut out, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to take my Merry Christmas and I'm going to glue them onto this nice pretty pattern paper. Just kind of spread apart, and since they are kind of got some thin lines in there, I'm going to use Eileen's tacky glue and just use my technique of putting small dots around the letters and then simply gluing it down. Now that these are sufficiently glued down, I'm going to go ahead and cut around them with my small detail scissors. So this is going to just be a thin border around each word. Also, I forgot to mention, I did forget the dot over the I myself, so there it is. I'm just going to glue that on. So don't forget the dot over the I. Okay, now that I have these matted on that light green, I've also put some foam tape on the back, so those are going to get foam taped on the card eventually, so I'm going to set those aside. Now for the card, I kind of want some Christmas trees on the front as well, so what I'm going to do with these dazzles is similar to what I did with the gridding, and then I'm going to place them on this paper and cut around them, kind of like matting them on this paper. And then I will eventually glue them down to the card. Now I have to tell you, this glittery finish is a little tricky to peel off, so you kind of have to peel off a bunch of different places first and then try and peel the whole tree off. So I have it here. And then it's kind of fragile. So what I'm going to do is try and place it down on my cutting mat. Oops, see, it's sticking it to itself. Alright. Okay, now that I have my tree sticky side up, I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to put it on the tree. Let's see, I want the light side to be near the top, so I'm going to put it on the tree like so. Alright, there we go. Now I can finish cutting this out. Alright, I got my tree all cut out, and I have also cut out 3 other trees. This large one and then these 2 smaller ones. Now what I'm going to do is kind of create a forest along the bottom of my card. So I've also cut a strip. This is 1 1/4 inch wide, and this is going to get glued across the bottom. And then I'm going to glue my trees on in a forest-like nature. And these have a very specific placement because I want the Christmas to kind of go along here, and Mary will, you know, go along the top. I don't want to separate them too much. There, you can see better. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all my elements down, and then we'll decorate with some more dazzles. So my little forest was looking a bit bare, so what I did was take all the rest of the trees on the sheet and mat them, and I did mat them on the lighter side of the paper just to create a little more variation in the colors. So I've got the smaller trees along the bottom and these 2 large trees on the side. And the only tree I didn't use yet was this one. And one thing I want to point out is that this tree doesn't have a star yet, so I just added the stars on a few of the trees. And you can or you don't have to on that. And then these tiny trees, I added the little dot in the middle. Just these 2 little dots. And this sheet has so many different little swirls and accessory shapes, so that's really useful. So right now I have this part all finished, and now I'm just going to trim off the excess. Okay, now I'm just going to add a few strips of these dazzles across the top, and then I'll do just a few more dazzles on the inside and I'll be done. So what I've done is put 3 strips of this glitter material across the top, and for the thicker strip, which is in the middle, I used just the outside strip, so I just kind of chopped off what I needed. So that's an extra kind of tip for you. You can use just, you know, trimming a strip of the glitter material will give you plenty of nice sparkly border material to put on your cards. So now I am completely finished with my very blingy green Christmas card, and I'm just gonna put a little tree on the inside with some strips and swirls, just to give it a touch of what's on the front. So here it is. I've just done 2 swirls in the corner with a tiny snowflake, this tree in this corner with just a single strip of the dazzle lines here, and I stopped it short of the tree on either side, so it kind of looks like it's sitting on this surface, and just the rest blank for your personalized Christmas message. Alright, so that's it for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for the bundle offerings. Stay tuned for this week's savings bundle, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. First in the bundle, of course, we have the Merry Christmas cutting dies, and on the package, a nice little image of a front and inside of a card that you can make using these dies. And the size is the Christmas is 4 7/8 inch long, and the Merry is 3 5/8 inch long, just to give you an idea. And these work with most leading brands of die cutting machines out there. I'm using the Epic 6, but there's plenty more out there, like the Big Shot, and I know there's more. But if you have a die cut machine, chances are these will work with yours. Alright, next we have the Swirl Christmas Trees Dazzles, and these come in a nice glittery green. It's kind of blending in with this. But and they also have some borders, just strips here, so really nice for framing certain things on your projects. And Christmas joy across the bottom. And we have the green holographic circles paper, really fun finish. Use it in limited amounts, I would say, just because it's so psychedelic. And then we also have the Gypsy Jewels paper pack, and this is a really pretty colors. Now, I wouldn't normally think Christmas when looking at these, but they totally work. There's lots of greens here and blues, if you're into, you know, snowflakes, and just really pretty colors, lights and darks. Jewel tones is what they are. That's why they're called Gypsy Jewels. So I really love this sheet especially, because those are just some of my favorite colors. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Simply Ann. Please join me again next week for another fun project. Thanks for watching.